Hello, you wonderful people in the world. How are you all in this beautiful Thursday? Whether you're just getting up and looking forward to enjoying the rest of your day, or you are at the end of your day. Hello to you, and thanks for tuning in. If you're going to tune in live, you can say hello and you can pop a question in the chat. Say hello first and then pop a question in the chat. So this is a show basically talking about hypnosis for weight loss. So it's a question and answer show. So you can just ask anything you wish to know about hypnosis, and particularly weight loss, because that's what this show is about today. There will be other shows about hypnosis generally, but you can always pop your question in and I'll get back to you anyway. The idea is that hypnosis is not something that everybody knows about. In fact, some people are quite scared of it for some reason, but I love it. I do it most days. I do self-hypnosis and I absolutely love it. It's something you will definitely get addicted to, so there is a warning that comes with this. If you choose to use hypnosis, you will definitely get addicted to it if you're that kind of person. And it is so easy. It's because it's so relaxing. It's so easy to use. What you do is basically record something to listen to, and you stick your headphones on, and you give yourself some great positive thoughts and suggestions and visualizations to be able to, do whatever it is that day that you need to do. For me, I work on things daily. I'm always work in progress, as I think we all are. Or if you're not, maybe you need to be. No, to be fair, people have got it all together and they don't need any help, so that's all good. But yeah, for me, there's a lot of work in progress, a lot of things going on, a lot of stress in the world. And, it's good to put things in perspective. It's good to remind yourself that despite all the stress, you don't have to allow it to affect your mind and your body, and it does. So today, yes, hypnosis to lose weight. Please do say hello if you're around. I'd love to chat to you. Even if you don't want to come on and ask a question about hypnosis, I don't mind. Just say hello. Pop in, say hello, and pop out again. If you are watching this on a replay, then what you can do is just put hashtag replay. And I know then that you didn't watch the live, but you do want to ask a question, and I can get back to you on that at a later date. At least then I know who I've answered the questions to and who I haven't. Now, last week we had a couple of good questions, and I had a couple of good questions after the show too. So I would say, don't be shy. It's probably, if you think it's a silly question, it's probably because everybody needs to know it. Like I said, don't be shy. Ask the questions. Whilst I'm waiting for some hopeful questions to come in, I will be sharing with you a client that I worked with to give you an idea of the kind of things that hypnosis can do with weight. You might think, weight, obviously it's obvious. You just don't put too much in and you make sure you expend more out, right? It's not rocket science, but there's this little thing called a brain, a mind, which is very complex, which gets in the middle of all that process. And it has a lot going on for some people more than others. And some of those things are quite deep and historical and have a long, long history to them. And some are very straightforward. It just simply is, I'm eating that and I shouldn't be doing it. And I know I shouldn't be doing it. And that's the great thing about hypnosis is we know what we know. We have a lot of insight into, well, most people do, into the fact that they know exactly what they're doing, whether they're biting the nails or having a cigarette or drinking too much alcohol. They know what they're doing is not necessarily good for them. But that's something at a conscious level. So within the mind, we have this conscious, unconscious kind of split. The unconscious is something that we can help to target and screen and identify things there where you can't always, because you're very busy in your daily life, you can't always stop off and start talking to your unconscious to figure out what's going on here. Why are we still doing this after all these years? But with hypnosis, when you have that that private moment with yourself, you can kind of come to some insights and understanding and awareness beyond the conscious awareness, which is the thing that's not helping you on a daily basis, other than to put weight on or to continue to have bad habits. So yes, that's hypnosis. So I'm going to be sharing a case study today. Some of my case studies are quite complex, but some of them are incredibly straightforward. I'm going to share with you a case study called Sharon, a client called Sharon today, who's a nurse. And I will put it up on the screen because I think it helps me to remind myself, because when you do see a lot of people and a lot of people present for the same kind of issue, it's easy to get things mixed up. So for me, I'm just going to put Sharon up on the screen. That helps me, and it perhaps helps you to look through and see if there is anything that you can ask a question about. Maybe this particular story resonates really well with you and you think, oh wow, that's like my doppelganger. I really need to know how you dealt with that, because that is exactly what I'm dealing with right now. And I'm happy to answer those questions, very open, transparent, and I've been in the business a long time. So I've got a lot of expertise in my head, and probably your questions probably been asked a lot of times. So please do fire away, ask the questions, contact me afterwards if you don't get your question answered on this session today. Without further ado, let me then bring in Sharon. Sharon, like I said, Sharon is a nurse. She is overweight, overeats, and has a sweet tooth, like we all do. And you know, it's not harmful to do that. It's not harmful to want to eat chocolate. I've done it today. I do it most days. I am vegan, so I do believe my kind of chocolate is healthier than dairy chocolate. It's a lot less fattening, but still I'm very careful about what I do and don't eat, and how much of that I do and don't eat, and I'm very conscious of that. Because I know that I don't need to necessarily eat it. It's just because it's a little bit of a treat, or it kind of perks you up, or it helps to kind of create a punctuation mark in your day. However, when it gets too much, people usually know about it. And for Sharon, she knew a long while before she came to see me, because her history is she used to go to grandma's house when she was little. And you know what it's like when you go to grandma's house when you're little. Well, grandmas like to bake. And I know I'm stereotyping here, but of an era, that's what they did. They used to bake because it was economical. It helped to feed the family by baking from natural and cheap ingredients. So they were used to baking, and grandmas are great at trying to not consciously undermine mum's stuff, but they like to comfort grandchildren, don't they? And a way of doing that is to bake lots of sweet stuff, but it was also something they did together, because you know, it creates a bond between, I think, a grandchild and a grandma, or a grandpa, where you do things together, and you know that's when you do things when you go to grandma's house, and those are the memories that stick with you forever. You never lose those memories. But yeah, she did do a lot of baking. She remembers, and this is the good thing about hypnosis. We can go back in time. We can go forward. We can stay in the present, but we can go back in time with our techniques. We can go back and revisit memories of the past. And fortunately or not, a lot of it, strong and powerful emotions, are highly connected to smells and tastes. And she had incredibly powerful emotions of being at grandma's house, and he even could smell, the baking of the things that grandma was cooking. So so grandma had a big part to play in Sharon's love of sweet things. Obviously not responsible, because we're all responsible for our own behaviours, but and for changing them. But she that's continued throughout her life. And what happens is, on the wards, she worked in a hospital, so on the wards, meaning carers and parents of whatever, of people that are patients that are in the ward, And even patients themselves like to bring in things to thank nurses. You know, they can't bring a lot of things, they can't pay them. But what they like to do is bring in biscuits and buns and sweets and chocolates and things like that. And I've worked with a lot of people in the medic arena, and particularly hospitals, nurses, doctors, and other auxiliary staff. And what is clear is that not so much, I think, now with COVID times, because we have to be very careful about handling stuff, but certainly, historically, people have been very well versed in having a nurse's station packed full with biscuits and cakes and buns and chocolates, especially at Christmas time. And each time that Sharon would go past that nurse's station, she would pick up a sweet or a lolly. In fact, I was just in June, I was in hospital and I'm having one of my rituximab infusions, and someone that very day had brought in a packet of lollies for the nurses. And I can't tell you how distracted those nurses were, knowing that there were lollies in a packet behind the nurses' station, and they were arguing over them, who were having which ones. So that was only in June this year. I saw it with my own eyes. So it's still important. Nurses like that kind of thing. They like to feel valued and rewarded. However, for Sharon, it wasn't a good thing because she was overweight. She was bordering on diabetes and obesity, and she overate. She knew she did. She was very active during the day because she was a nurse. She worked in the day shifts. She would be up and down stairs. She would be constantly on her feet. She never stopped. But when she got home, she just flaked out. She couldn't do anything. She was so tired. So that didn't help, that she was kind of, and not eating very well at work either, because another thing I've learned well about medics and hospital staff is the canteen is rubbish. It's full of unhealthy stuff. And they rarely get breaks, especially if they're short-staffed, to be able to actually go and sit down, take some time out. They're usually covering for each other. And even to go to the toilet for some of them has been difficult. So I know, and especially in COVID times, they are struggling. But she wanted to stop this business of eating stuff at work, and she also wanted to get fitter and healthier at home. So she was very stressed at work. She was very busy. She had a lot of responsibilities, and way beyond where her remit was really. She felt a little bit bullied by the doctors who were trying to undermine her decisions. So she was quite stressed in everything. And that seemed to play a big part. Now, what hypnotherapy does is we don't just look at the behaviours. We don't just look, oh, she eats sweets, let's just stop her eating sweets, because we don't want to do that. We don't want to stop someone eating sweets because we want them to have a choice. We want them to be empowered to make that choice and make that decision. Do I need this? Have I deserved this? Should I eat this today because I've already eaten something else? So we want them to be able to rationalise their ability to have that instead of just emotional eating. But at the same time, we don't want to take that away from them, because the more you try and avoid things, the more you want them and the more you will crave for them. So what we tried to do with her was just to curtail those bad habits, to reduce, and do it not cold turkey, because again, that's not fair. It doesn't feel good, but to still have the choice, but to be in control of that choice. So starting off with Sharon, I don't know if we have any people with questions. If we do, please pop them in and I will definitely get around to answering them. I do get so involved in these case studies because I love working with people. And I find that each story has just so much to tell behind the scenes. So, please do let me know if you want to ask a question. The other thing I'm going to do is make sure actually that just make sure that my voice is still coming out on there. So the other thing, what was I going to say about Sharon? Sharon unfortunately had recently, about 18 months ago, lost her grandmother. Her grandmother had died and her will fell apart. So she she was really, she didn't realise it, but through the process of the work we did together, and again, I think I've said this many times before, is hypnosis, hypnotherapy is not a long therapy. It's a very brief therapy. We only see people for a few sessions. Weight, it's usually about 3 sessions straight off with weekly sessions, and then we spread that out monthly. So it usually is only about 3 to 6 sessions tops, unless there's a lot of comorbid, that means like associated symptoms that mean that the person has got things like depression or anxiety or, a lot of other things going on that we need to tackle, and that can take a little bit more time if there's a lot of complex things happening. But for Sharon, not necessarily, but she didn't realise how much she was grieving still or hadn't grieved actually for her grandma. And she really did, it's a big hole in her life, she really did miss her. So part of what we did, as well as tackling the stress, as well as tackling the sugar addiction she'd actually got to sweets and sweet stuff, we were working on stress at work as well as grieving. So giving her assertiveness suggestions, self-belief, self-efficacy, an ability to stand up for herself, basically, in an environment where it's difficult. It's difficult for nurses to do that. But the more she stood up to people, the less stress she felt. She felt good about what she was doing. So we did a lot of work to help her gain insight into what the kinds of things were contributing to her relationship with food, the way she had it currently and historically. And how we have various techniques. I can't talk about them on here, but because there's far too many, and we tailor that to each individual person. But there are lots and lots of techniques that we use for managing stress, for tackling other unhealthy behaviours like smoking and drinking, things like managing stress. So we do stress management techniques. So we have lots and lots and lots of different tools and techniques that we can use and apply to those different areas that will kind of feed into that, pardon the pun, feed into that common core element. It's like peeling the layers of an onion. And we want to try and peel those layers away with various tools till we get to the thing in the middle, which is going to help her to gain sustainable change. I.e., she won't need to keep coming back and seeing a therapist. So we do ourselves out of work, of course. So she did gain a lot of insight. She did grieve through our processes for her grandmother, and she felt much better for it. She felt she needed to do that, and she hadn't been able to do that by herself. We also rekindled some old hobbies and interests to fill her time, because she lived by herself, and obviously Grandma had gone, and she was a big part of her life. But she found that she tended to reward behaviours with food. So we tried to help her to gain other methods and ways, and by using her hobbies and interests to help her to reward herself, to give her an ability to do something that she wouldn't normally do. And it may cost, or it may take time, or she may have to travel to get to it. But she made herself do that to enable her to get a reward for sticking to plan. Having plans is good as well in what we do. We do use coaching, and we use SMART objectives, things like that, where we help people to create strategies and plans that they can create themselves and take away and create them in their own time once they've left. Stress was a big issue, so part and parcel of stress management is helping people to relax. And I know that's a dirty word for some people, especially if you're a very ambitious and overachieving person. Relax. I don't relax. So perhaps you want to talk about downtime or other methods of resting your brain and having time out instead of relaxing. But she needed that. She needed some tools that she could use where even if she couldn't get away, she could go sit on the loo, the lavatory, for a few minutes, fire what we call a little anchor, which we create with a thumb and a finger, and she would be off into her favourite place or wherever it might be, and she literally just spends a few minutes taking herself into a visualization, and that just basically calms the whole of the body down, prepares her ready to go back out there again and face the music. She increased her motivation to shop for healthier foods. Her fridge and freezer weren't that great because she didn't particularly have time or energy to cook when she got home. So she would grab a pizza on the way home or eat at the cafeteria at work, which I said before is pretty rubbish. It's so unhealthy. I don't know what's going on in hospitals, why they can't provide people with healthy snacks. But the thing is she found the motivation to learn to love food, healthier foods, and prepare, cook, and take her own meals to work. So that she didn't have to go to the cafeteria. She'd go sit, find a place outside. There's lots of green spaces now outside hospitals to encourage people to be more relaxed and to be less stressed. And so she was able to go and sit somewhere away from work and created a little ring-fenced piece of time for herself, away from sugary foods and eating her own healthy snacks, that she could feel safe, that there weren't a lot of processed sugars and salts and things like that. Because another thing with obviously sugary stuff with her diabetes, but also with stress and eating a lot of processed food, she's likely to start developing hypertension if she's eating a lot of salt in a diet. So, and she was actually, but she managed to curtail that too. So I think that's Sharon. If anyone wants any more information about Sharon, you're very welcome to give me a shout. I'm happy to. I obviously can't talk confidentially about. I can't breach confidentiality about Sharon's case, but I can definitely give you some general things about what we do with people when we work with someone like Sharon. What I want to also encourage you to do is to, that was Sharon. I'll just put that on there. Just to remind me and anyone else who watches the replay that Sharon is the one we talked about today. What I also want to share with you is a new site that I've been building today. It's and a new course actually for helping people to lose weight. So it's very much, it's not a course actually, it's a program. It's a technique-based coaching program, which all the kind of techniques that I'm talking about on these shows, I can't go into detail with them, but you're going to learn them. If you want to lose weight or manage some unhealthy habits, not a lot of people that come to see us aren't necessarily overweight. It's just that they have a lot of unhealthy habits that are driving them absolutely crazy. And very distracting, like cravings for things. I'm going to be sharing absolutely loads and loads and loads and loads of those tools. I'll be demonstrating them. I'll be giving you a recording of it, a video and audio recording, so that you'll be able to sit back, put your headphones on, and work through those different techniques yourself to be able to help yourself. So it's very technique-based. It's not the traditional coaching session that you might think of. And it's certainly not going to cost you an arm and a leg like it would if you came for individual sessions. It doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, of course, unless you've got something very, very complex to deal with. But no, it's not expensive. It's very affordable, and it gives you an opportunity to learn a lot of great tools, cool tools that I've learned over the last 20 odd years, and ones that you will be able to implement in your world, whether it's now or later. When the later is the now, it doesn't matter. You can find that you don't need to worry about ever again, figuring out how your conscious mind is doing things that you wish it didn't, but it is, because you're going to have a lot of tools to help you to do that. So that's a coaching program. The website is called candidchameleons.com. And you can come along there, have a look, just have a browse. If you've got any questions about the program or the individual hypnotherapy sessions, which are also on there, you can again give me a shout and I will answer any questions that you have. For now, I'm going to leave it there. I don't see any questions at the moment, but they do come afterwards, and I know people do watch this show after it's finished. So I wish you all a very good Thursday, wherever you are, and I hope you have a great day or a great evening, whatever's left of your day. For now, take care. Bye-bye.